What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Nate. I own a custom integration company, meaning I help people implement technology into their homes and businesses. We install all sorts of products, everything from your networking to your distributed audio, control systems, and surveillance cameras. Now, everything that we install always falls back on having a rock solid backbone in your network, which is why we work with Ubiquiti for almost all of our deployments. In the description below, you will find an affiliate link for Ubiquiti products. If you're interested in them, it helps our channel out a ton if you use our link. Also in the description below, you will find our guide for building a smart home. If you're doing a new construction house, we have a full guide on what tips and tricks and things that you need to make sure you do during the construction process to set yourself up for success in the future. A majority of our clients are residential clients that we get hired to come in and make their home a smart home. Now, all of that starts with the network side of things, which typically lives in a network rack in the basement or a closet somewhere. For us, it is very important that we have a standard of labeling and cleanliness and organization to our rack, and that all starts with a patch panel. There are a bunch of different reasons to use and utilize a patch panel in your network, but the main ones that we do it for is organization, identifying points of failure, streamlining things, and allowing us to scale long-term if we need to add things to a system. There are multiple different types of patch panels that you can utilize. However, the main thing that we do is a keystone patch panel, which you see below me here. We're going to walk through in this video how you would terminate a keystone, use it in a patch panel, and some examples of how we utilize the patch panel. Now, for us, we like everything to look as organized and clean as possible, which is why you see blanks in a lot of our patch panels that we use. We actually print and design and make these. They are available for sale on our website. We make them in all sorts of different colors, but these will fill those pesky spots that maybe you don't need a keystone in, or you're saving for future add-ons in your patch panel. The unified patch panel comes in a 24-port setup. You may not have 24 drops originally when you start your build, and instead of having blank holes, we do design and make multiple different colors of blanks that can go in there. Ubiquiti does sell their matching silver ones, which are great. We utilize them frequently, but sometimes you want to do something more fun, and especially if it's for your own network at home, you can do different colors. We have all sorts of ranges of them. Now, for people like us and the DIY enthusiasts and the people that are doing Ubiquiti stacks in their own home, things like ether lighting are an important feature because this is your project and you want to customize it the way you want it to look. In our scenario, a lot of the times the client doesn't necessarily care what it looks like, and they're probably never even going to open that rack. But for my home network or our showroom or things like that, we like to show off some of the fun things that you can do with networking. So something like an ether lighting patch cable where you can change the lights and you can do all sorts of different things with it, with the ports. Same deal with utilizing different colors for a patch panel blank. Would we sell these to our clients? Probably not. They likely don't care about it. We would just use a standard white one to cover it up. But for someone like me, where I enjoy it and I think it's fun and I like to have, this is what I like to customize. So some people are into cars, some people are into whatever your hobby is. This is our hobby. We just happen to be fortunate enough to do it for work and get paid to do it. So these products, things like this is for you guys. These are things that I find fun, and we already print for ourselves, and we've been asked numerous times in the comments and in DMs about STL files and things like that that are available. I'm happy to say that we now have these for sale, and I also have the STL file on our website available for download if you're into 3D printing as well and you want to go print it yourself. So we have a bunch of products lined up that we're going to create that kind of fall into this world of customizing your Ubiquiti equipment, or maybe you are in a scenario like me where you install products for a living. We have all sorts of things that we've 3D printed that save us time or problem solve or resolve issues for ourselves. All of those prints will be available either for purchase, or you can download the STL files and you can print them yourselves. Now, a keystone patch panel is what we prefer doing because A, it is easier for us to install and service long term, and B, it looks cleaner in my opinion. So as opposed to a traditional patch panel where you would pull all your drops to the back of it and terminate it in the actual patch panel, a modular or a keystone patch panel utilizes your standard keystone like you would use for any wall plate. You terminate your cable inside of this, and then it goes and slots in to your patch panel. As easy as that. That allows us to label the cable on the back end and then label the front of the patch panel. So when we turn over our networks to our clients, they know exactly what every cable goes to, whether it's a TV in the primary bedroom, or it is the Xbox, or maybe it's a PC, a Sonos amp, whatever it is. If there's an issue, they can go and look and they can see exactly what it is. And if they, let's say they put in a service ticket for us and a Sonos amp isn't connecting and we need them to unplug and plug something back in, it is much easier to do when everything is labeled and they know what they're looking at. As much as I would love for all of our clients to be as big of network nerds as we are, that is not the case in 99% of our installations. So we try and make sure everything is labeled and easy to understand for our clients. So let's walk through how to terminate a keystone for your patch panel. There's a few different tools that are going to make your life significantly easier during this process. You don't necessarily need them, but coming from someone who does a lot of keystone installations, I will tell you this is going to A, save your hands, and B, just make it a much more enjoyable process. The first tool that I'm going to recommend that you have is going to be a wire stripper meant for CAT. So all this is a fixed blade that allows you to cut the sheathing off of your Cat 6, Cat 5e, Cat 7, whatever cable that you're using without going too deep and scoring the actual conductors inside. The next thing you're going to need is a keystone. They make Cat 6 keystones, Cat 6a keystones, all sorts of different ones. If you're using an outdoor rated shielded cable, a tip is to use a Cat 6a keystone because it has a wider section in the center for your cable to sit in. The next tool I'm going to recommend you have is this. It is a holder for the keystone while you're terminating it. I don't know if they have a specific name. I will link a product description down below for one. We get shipped them in our orders all the time. Same with the strippers that come, they just come in most of our orders. So we have tons of them laying around. I'm going to be honest, I don't think I've ever actually bought one, but I will find one and I'll link it below. All this is going to do is it's going to allow you to slot in the keystone into it so that you have something in the palm of your hand when you are punching down the cables and the conductors into the keystone. This is not necessary. You don't need it. However, if you do a few of these in your hand and you hold it in the palm as you're punching the cables in, it will tell you the palm of your hand is going to be very sore by the end of it. The next tool that you're going to need is a punch down tool. Again, you don't necessarily need this, but this is going to accomplish two things. And one, it's going to seat the conductor into the keystone, and it is also going to cut the excess trimming off of the end all in one shot. These have a physical depress in them. They have a couple different settings for how high you want the impact, high or low. They typically all come with a secondary blade that you can swap out and change on them. This isn't required to do a keystone. I can tell you I have done plenty of keystones using just the end of this to insert our cables and punch them in. The last thing is obviously you're going to need your cabling. So all of your cabling that you ran throughout your home is going to come into a central location to wherever your network rack is going to be. If you are interested, I have videos in the past where we talk about how we cable comb all of our cables and our trunk coming into the rack so it looks nice and organized. But I have a scrap piece here that will kind of run through how we do a installation. First thing you're going to do is you're going to take roughly 1 inch to 1.5 inches of the sheathing. You're going to put your stripper around it on the first section with this particular stripper. It may be different with whichever one you get. It does have multiple for different gauges of wire, and you're just going to run it in a circle a single time around, allowing you to remove the sheathing in one shot. The cabling that we use typically always has a structured piece of plastic in the center of it, which we are going to go ahead and cut out. You can use flush cuts for this. We typically use data scissors, which we have That these ones are Klein, but you can use any type of flush cut. Depends. We go back and forth on which ones we use. I will tell you flush cuts are going to shoot your trimming significantly further. So if you're up on a ladder doing this and you're not trying to make a mess underneath you, go with the scissors because they are easier to hold and catch as you cut them. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to untwist the end of just your pairs, just so you have enough of the cable exposed that you're going to be able to punch that down. Next, you're going to go ahead and load your keystone into the holder. I typically will hold it facing me. On all keystones, you're going to have an A and a B for your termination sequence. It's always going to be listed on the side, on the top, maybe on the packaging, but you're going to want to follow whatever is listed on this one. I will tell you they are not all the same, so follow what is on your specific keystone that you have in front of you. I will always hold the front of the keystone down towards me, and I will take the cable in from the side here. So you're going to go ahead and line up your cable right to the edge so that you have as minimal exposed wiring as possible. And you're just going to follow the diagram for where each color goes. So in this, for B, it is going to be orange, orange, white, green, green, white on one side, and then it's going to be brown, brown, white, blue, blue, white. So I'll put a clip on the screen here of a close-up of me doing one of these. I'm going to level with you. I don't have the nicest camera in the world, so this is a more of a tutorial on the patch panel. I do have videos in the past of how to terminate a keystone. There are great videos on the internet already all over YouTube of how to do one of these. Now that you have your keystone terminated, almost all of them are going to come with a little cover that's going to go over your exposed wiring on the top. And now you have a cable terminated into a keystone. The other end would get a RJ45 or another keystone on the other side. All you're going to do for the patch panel is you're going to take the back end, line it up on the bottom, and push forward. Now your cable is terminated and secured and ready to accept a patch cable to go between your patch panel and your switch. We typically utilize the 0.1 meter patch cables from Unify. This is one of the longer ones, but just to show you, it will accept right through there. If you use the 0.1 meters, that is, in my opinion, how you get the cleanest look. So your patch panel, and then directly below that 1U below will be a switch. The 0.1 meter fills that space really nicely. I'll run a clip right here of our stack in our showroom here. Previously, in some of the other clips you'll see throughout this, we use a Monoprice branded one. I want to say it's a 4-inch patch cable, which is pretty close to the 0.1 meter. But they're available all over for different types. We do like the UI ones. They're very thin. They look nice. They're not bulky. I'll link a bunch of different options below. They come in all sorts of colors. Unify does have the ether lighting ones now. So if you have let's say a USW Pro switch that has ether lighting built in, you can go and control all the colors on the ports, which is very nice. And the cable lights up as well, which is a cool add-on. Now, terminating a keystone is probably going to be the easiest thing that you do inside your network build or wiring your home to be a smart home. All of these types of things are the necessary components that go into making sure that your equipment works well. It's easy to troubleshoot. That's why we always recommend using a patch cable or a patch panel and using patch cables between them. There is no reason that you cannot run your Cat6 cable and put an RJ45 on it and plug it directly into the switch. I will tell you, if you do have to troubleshoot things in the future, it can make things trickier with having to take them apart. Whereas let's say you had something go bad, it is much easier to be able to just pop that keystone out, see if something's faulty inside of it, and then replace the patch cable. Now, if you're doing a large deployment and you have multiple switches and multiple patch panels, that's when it's really important to use a patch panel. So let's say you're going north of 50 drops of Cat6 into a property, whether it's commercial or residential, you will always want to use a patch panel. There are plenty of instances, and I'll roll some clips of ones where we don't use a patch panel because maybe it's only 3 or 4 drops and it's just an added expense that we don't deem necessary for the client, or the client wants to strike that line item on the proposal. You can absolutely run a cable directly into your switch or your UDM Pro. You're not going to hurt anything by doing that. Typically what we'll do in that scenario is we'll put a brush plate above the switch or below the switch so that the cables have something nice and clean to pass through, but our standard go-to is always going to be a patch panel. Another tip of advice is utilizing a lace bar in the back of your rack. So depending on what type of rack you have, we always try and use a swinging gate rack whenever possible. They are a little bit more expensive, but I will tell you, if you plan to play with the equipment inside of it and you plan to be inside of your network rack frequently, a swinging gate rack is ideal. Now what we do with a lace bar is it goes across the back where your trunk comes in, and it allows you to Velcro or zip tie off your cables in a nice neat orientation going all the way forward into your patch panel. Again, it just keeps things organized. There's no improvement in performance or anything like that when you're utilizing something like this, but it does make everything more organized and easier to deal with if you have to troubleshoot something. My goal with offering products like this is not to be able to make a ton of money off of selling products to people on YouTube. It really is just things that we've found that we had to come up with to make things easier for ourselves. And I want to extend that to the public if possible. Feel free to check out our site below. It is linked in the description. If you're ever looking for someone to help you with network design or distributed audio design, we do offer those services as well. And if you have any questions about products that you're working with or how we can help with that smart home world, please drop us a comment. We'd love to help you. That's all I've got for this week. We'll see you on the next video.